It's another beautiful Tuesday morning here on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Ekpo Temple, and of course on the show today, our organizers reveal venue for wheelchair league. Nigerian Handball League gets new kickoff date, and in football, Arsenal set to banish painful UEFA Champions League history against Bayern. Details of these and many more will be yours in our jiffy.
Not the counterpunch. Not the counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. On 18.
Not the counterpunch.
All right, welcome back from that break. For those joining us, this is Sports Talk on Atlantic Television Network. I did mention that we'll have a lot to talk about this morning, and of course, joining me to bring you to the peak of most of the topical issues popping out from the sporting world is Emmanuel Michael. Good morning and welcome to the show, Mike.
Good morning, Temple, and good morning to our viewers out there.
All right, let's start with some basketball news, and this time around we hear that the wheelchair basketball is set to dunk off in Kano in April, of course, and a lot planning is ongoing. According to Sheyi Johnson, president of Nigerian Wheelchair Basketball Federation, the Savannah Conference is scheduled for the 13th to the 16th of this month at the Indoor Sports Hall of Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano City. And he revealed that the Savannah Conference will consist of the Northeast, Northwest, and North Central geopolitical zone, adding that 2 outstanding teams will qualify to the next stage of this competition.
I think it's a great one for me. Having to use this opportunity to organize this kind of activity for the handballers, I think it's a good one. It's going to keep them in shape and also to produce more talent, because we truly need it at this point in time. Let's hope that other regions can also key in from this idea of this this kind of organizational structure and be able to also, improve a lot, so that we get to, harness talent from that area. So for me, I think it's coming very timely.
Which basketball league, of course, winners of the league will go home with cash prizes in order to prepare for the proposed, West Africa Basketball League Championship, which is, of course, will come up very soon. And Johnson also said that those who attended the National Technical Workshop in Oregon will handle the officiating of the league. Revealed that teams and players' registration will be completed on or before yesterday, and so I'm sure that they should have complied by now if you want to be part of the basketball wheelchair league. Definitely, you need to comply by now, because a date has been stipulated on when they expect players, to file in their registration and complete the necessary things out there. Of course, if you fail to meet up with the date, I think as a professional body, they need to also, cut you off from such tournament. It means that you are not ready to take part in this very one. Because for me, I think we should always do well to also align ourselves with an official date of any, organized competition out there. And again, another interesting aspect is seeing some of the ref who undergo some part of training out there that will be officiating in this very one. What this means is that we are going to have more capable hands, to take part in the officiating, which will also enhance, the productivity and the, fair play of the game. Because if you deploy people that is not vested with the knowledge of the game, I think they are going to hamper the progress of the game. So I think it's a nice one. It's a nice one. It's a nice one, and of course, the head coach. A lot of preparation from that particular one. But let's move now to some handball news. And the head coach of Plateau Peacock, Yusuf Abdulkadir, has stated that his target is to win this season's Nigeria Premier Handball League. Abdulkadir, who led the Plateau Peacock to a third-place finish last season, said his side remained one of the most consistent women's clubs in the International Handball Federation B License League. And of course, if he said that his team can do it, Peacock, no doubt, they are a very good female side, but he believes that they can win this particular one. I won't also forget that they're going to face stiff competition from a lot of other clubs who also want to write their name in gold. Definitely, I think the Plateau Peacock, they are one of the team here in the country that you say, yes, they have been very, very consistent in their performance over the past couple of years. Just last season, they also finished third, and also it tells you how consistent they have been. And of course, the coach was a part of the coaching crew, the technical crew that also attended the just concluded All-African game out there in Ghana. So you expect him to add that experience that he have garnered, that exposure as well to the team, and also beef up the team as well. So for a coach to come out playing to tell you that they are ready to contend for the league, it tells you how prepared they are. And of course, for me, I think we need to watch out for this Plateau Peacock, because like I said, they have been very, very consistent, finishing third last time out. Now they are dreaming big, trying to aim higher, which for me, I think is a nice one. It's a nice one, getting to see, aspire for big things, getting to win the league. They're also talking about younger players, how to groom them in the club and make them very relevant. He also commended the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfuang, for supporting other sports in the state, promising not to let the state down this season. Yusuf Abdulkadir was part of the coaching crew that won bronze medal, like he said, the All-African Games, and it's good. But my only challenge is that unlike last year, activities of handball in recent time in Nigeria, we haven't heard much. Maybe because the year just started and because they just came back from big competition like the All-African Games and all that. But handball used to be one of the mainstay of, in Nigeria. And maybe Ocheho and his team, let me assume that they're building something big, yet to come. Yeah, let's just hope so, because for me, just like you said, maybe the year is just starting, and there
But then for a team that is very serious and intentional about what they are doing, this is the first quarter of the year. By now, you should have expected them to organize one competition or the other. But I guess it's because of the All-African game that just took place out there in Ghana that have also, served as another, window for some of these players to go and showcase their talent. So for me, I think they're doing a nice job. Let's hope that in the few months to come, maybe half of the year, in 6 months' time, they are going to organize one, event or the other, so that these players can also showcase their talent and keep themselves fit, keep themselves shape, for the year ahead.
For the year ahead, and of course, a lot of preparation for that particular one. But let's move on now and let's talk about para table tennis. We are champion Isso Gunkole has called for financial support and proper campaign for para athletes ahead of this year's Paris Paralympic Games. And of course, the multiple national champion Isso Sao Ogunkole defeated the 5-time Paralympian El Salah in Egypt 3-1 in the Class 4 final at the ITTF African Para Championship in Giza, Egypt, to book a slot at the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games.
Yeah, for me, you see, Paralympic teams of Nigeria, they are one of the most successful, team when you talk about the Olympic Games. They have amassed more medal, more than their able-bodied counterpart. But most time, it looks as though their achievement is not all that recognized, because most time they cry of camp allowance, not being able to receive their remuneration and all of that. So I think they've been doing a whole lot, but then I think we need to pay attention to also, the reward system is something that have eluded the para, Olympic team. But whenever, the Olympic competition comes calling, this is one team that you can always bet your money on and definitely say they are going to win so medal. Of course, when they go out there, they come back with something to cheer home about. So for me, I just truly think that they need to be catered for. They need to, be paid much attention, just like their able-bodied counterparts, so that we can continue to improve. Because going to the Olympic, I mean, these are some of the areas you need to rely on to amass you medals out there. Because most of these no sport that we pay much attention, you discover that at the end of the Olympic game, they don't even get you more silverware. But it is this sport that is relatively unknown, and this area we think that maybe we don't have strength. These are the people that even amass more medals for us. So I think for me, proper attention should be given to them. Adequate support, should also be given to them for proper preparation for the Olympic that is coming.
Proper preparation is very important. I mean, funding very important, and of course the Paralympians needs to be at their best if they must continue to haul out medals when the Paralympic Games comes in August, September. And of course, the man is also advocating or preaching that the para table tennis, should do a whole lot to see how far they can get us more medals. Let's move on now, and as we're talking about other issues in tennis, this time let's talk about the Monte Carlo, and the result already popping out. Cameron Norrie was beaten in straight set by his 15-seed Karen Kachanov in the first round of the Monte Carlo Masters. It is the clay season, and a lot is happening. And of course, when you play some of the best lads who are good on the clay court, this is their specialists. And of course, the Monte Carlo is one Masters that comes with a lot of hype. And Cameron Norrie losing in the first, round may not be very thrilling, because he's British #1, and so should have led with the example.
Yeah, you will say not a good start for Cameron Norrie, but then you can't take anything away from the opponent out there. Talking about
Karen
Kachanov, who also given a standing ovation, for the impressive display out there. You saw the crowd cheering, to victory. And after the game, he also, granted an interview where he made reference of the fact that the fans out there was a source of motivation and all of that. So for me, I think it's a good one. Not every tennis player is vested with the knowledge while playing on the, clay. Because we have clay masters who, whatever you think that you are, when you come to the clay, they will definitely also you are. So I think he has a better opportunity, he has a better game plan. That is why he had to upstage Cameron Norrie. Let's hope that he can be able to also continue from this footing. And for Cameron Norrie, as a British #1, you expected him to do better than this. Let's hope he's going to learn some lessons and be able to correct them. Maybe in his next game, going forward, I see an improvement only if he's ready to also improve other areas of his game.
For Norway, he fought hard in a match lasting 2 hours and 25 minutes, but went down 7-5, 7-6, tiebreak of 7-3 to the Russian. The British #1 had 2 set points to level the match at 1 before Karen Kachanov came through in the tie break. Fellow British Dan Evans was also beaten 6-1, 6-4 by Austria's Sebastian Ofner. For Evans, I think that I have no doubt at all, because he's been, he's one of the, how will I say it? He's not in his form at all. Maybe he needs to take a break and go revive, because every competition he goes into, he ends up losing. And it's been a long time I even see him. I saw him in the later stages of any competition, be it ATP, be it Masters, even the Grand Slams.
I think it's not a good one for him out there. I think he just need to take possibly a hiatus away from the game, take a rest, and come back very strong, because just like you said, he has not been very, very consistent so far for the past couple of months right now. When you expect him to come to the party, he falters. I think for me, something is definitely wrong with his game. He lacks that, mentality, that winning mentality is no longer there. That passion, that zeal is no longer there. And when you are going to such competition, not having that passion, I think your opponent is going to get the better of you. So I think for me, possibly you need to take a break and recover very well, work on himself and bounce back very strong.
Work on himself and bounce back very strong, and that's the advice here. But then it's good to see how things are popping out, and a lot of stories are still making wave in tennis. And just a few days ago, we heard that Nigerian, a certain Okpe, was the winner of the golf tournament. For me, what interests me in that particular story wasn't the fact that we're talking about golf, but the fact that golf is now, a household name. We have seen a classic, that was hosted a few weeks ago, and then getting to see another golf tournament where Nigerians are doing so well. In fact, we even have rankings now, classification rankings, and Ekpe was very fantastic on the day. A man who I know him very well, he played for Python clubs, here in Port Harcourt. And last year when they hosted that competition, they have a couple of competitions that they host on a yearly basis. They hosted one in Port Harcourt last year. I'm sure that Lagos, of course, is a beehive of activities when it comes to golf. They have that golf course and all that. But I'm loving it. I don't want to ask when we're going to get to the level competing at the continent and maybe getting to see our players compete, in the professional PGA and all that. But I'm happy that golf activities are still making way, keeping us busy, especially for those who are lovers of golf and who follows golf.
Yes, of course, especially for those who follow golf and love golf. I think it's a good one. Nice to see that Nigerians we are beginning to make wave. I think over the years, we've been trying locally to ensure that we develop, that area. In time past, we had just, embroiled with this thought that the golf, game is just for the elites. But nowadays, I think it's no longer for the elites only. Other people are delving into golf as an activity, as a sport as well. So for me, I think it's nice to see that our names is beginning to pop up there, up high when it has to do with golf. Of course, for me, you talked about the golf club here in Port Harcourt, but the Ikoyi Golf Club, where seems to be the beehives of activity when you talk about golf as well. They've been doing a massive job, every year, quarterly as well. They also organize one competition or the other, bring people together. You see some philanthropists out there coming to put heavy amount of money. The last one they actually organized, they have to cover the sum of 20 million naira, and the winner for that very one went home with about 10 million naira. It tells you how massive and how dedicated, how passionate they are in playing golf. So for me, I think it's a good one. Let's hope that we can continue with this momentum. Let's hope that we can also take it to other states and make it very popular, because Lagos right now have gained the popularity. When you talk about golf, one thing that comes to your mind is about the Ikoyi Golf Club. Then Port Harcourt, we are not doing too bad at all, but then we need to spread the tentacles to other states so that other states as well can key in into this vision of taking golf to the next level. And I tell you, if we do that, maybe in the near future, we'll be talking, we'll be mentioning the name of Nigeria when you talk about the PGA.
And then, talk about PGA. I'm also expecting to see that we'll be able to have internal talents, that will compete highly in that area. But away from that, that's this on sharing news about a few weeks after the All-African Games, some of the athletes are yet to receive their bonus. Bonus accrued from the medal that they won, not the bonus given as per participation, in the tournament. Some are saying that we have not, been given the bonus. If I won a gold, the bonus will come with $5,000 for example, for winning a gold. That has not been given to me, and a lot of them are not happy at all. I think that certain sport, even in the boxing, also a lot of gold. Some of the boxers are not happy, and of course, even the boxing federation president had to come out to say that yes, he's aware of the matter, and they're still looking at it to see if whatever will happen. But I mean, this is not whatever be the bureaucratic bottleneck that is holding it up. I think this is not the way to go, so that the spirit of the athletes and in different categories that have achieved so well will not be dampened to say we're back to the old days where things promises are not fulfilled.
Yeah, I think that story popped up like 2 days ago, where we had this complaint that some of the boxers and other athletes haven't received their emolument. I think for me it's not a good news, not a cheering news at all, especially for the boxing federation. They just concluded the All-African game out there in Ghana. We amassed a total of 10 medals that include 8 gold medals and 2 silver in the boxing category alone. We dominated, and of course, after doing the nation so proud, you expected that the authority should also reward these athletes, these boxers, after he had fought victory out there, trying so hard to put the flag of the nation high there. And of course, coming back home, the sport minister talked about the fact that it was an Easter period, so that also hampered the central bank in order to process their money and all of that. But Easter has come and gone. It's about 2-3 weeks down the line, and yet they have not received their emolument. I think for me, it's demoralizing for the boxers. They have family, they have things to take care of, they have their own need as well. So if their emolument is not given to them, how do you expect them next time when they are called to the camp to serve the nation? How do you expect them to give out their best? I think for me, it's a sad narrative, and we must do everything possible to stop this ugly narrative, so that we put smiles in their faces by making sure that what is due them is given to them, and that will also encourage them to do more. We just talked about the Olympic game that is coming that is coming very soon. If we don't reward them appropriately, how do you expect them to go for the Olympic and you expect them to come back with victory? You expect them to go there and achieve the needed success, whereas they have not been paid their emolument, their entitlement. I think for me, it's a sad narrative. Like I said, they must do everything possible to ensure that their money get to them as at when due.
Sad narrative there, like you said, and of course, we hope that the sports ministry are listening, and getting to see what they can do to alleviate the challenges, especially as the complaint keeps coming, not sharing at all. But let's hope that will be done. But before we go on a quick break, let's talk about something that we're just hearing. The IOC has come out to say that this year's Olympic Games, we're going to see a purple track, rather than the normal Dakota track pattern. And I'm wondering, why use a purple track? This will be the last time we saw something like was in the 1960s, I think we have not seen that in recent time. We're going to see green track, we have seen Dakota track, but I asked myself, why go for a purple track? Will it enhance the effort? But they have come out to also explain that part of the reason is that they saw fewer records broken, especially on the track, where just 3 records were broken. So they expect to see more. Just like we have a football, there are some form of football, the balls produced to enhance goals. You know, we talked about this in the last World Cup and in the South Africa World Cup, where you know the balls were produced in such a way that goalkeepers will not have easy to catch. So maybe the track also, the purple track is to enhance, you know, easy achievement of track, so that the athletes can feel free, you know, to move around and see how far. But I don't know what you make of this particular news of having a purple track instead of the usual Takuta track or the normal track that we are used to. I hope that Nigerians will not fall prey of this one.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that it's just a way of adding beauty, you know, and color the event out there, because I think the conventional thing is what people are used to, but when you add beauty and color to it, it brings a different dimension to it, because whatever color that the track is being painted with, whatever color it is used, it doesn't you know, change the acceleration of any certain athlete out there. You know, what changes is the beauty. At most, people get to see a different thing like what they used to know before. So that is just what I think they are trying to, you know, invent. Not like a new invention, but then it has been abandoned for a quite long time. So they want to reinvent such beauty out there. And of course, if you ask me, it's going to be a very colorful one out there. Very
colorful one out there, and that takes us now to a short break. When we come back, I will look at how colorful football world is this morning on Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. Please don't go anywhere.
Telling him not to counterpunch. Telling him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Around 18.
Telling him not to counterpunch.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's still Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, We talked about a lot of sports, in the first half of the show. We looked at happenings in the Monte Carlo Masters, and that's one of the biggest Master Series in the clay court season. And I tell you, it's going down there. British #1, Cameroon has been ousted out by Karen Kachanov, and of course, we'll get to see more drama as the day goes by. The British are not doing so well, and we talked about it, and I hope that the time will be revived, because in the world of boxing, Michael, it looks like that is changing narrative. The way the British are standing in boxing, when it comes to tennis, they've been struggling. Emma Raducanu, the stories all there. Cameron Norrie, Dan Evans, maybe just Jack Draper, that young lad, except maybe doing so well, but in recent time, he's not even doing well as compared to some of the young lads that they started together. So one begin to think that the British are going down, and Americans are rising gradually in tennis. Yeah. Danielle Collins, Danielle Collins talk about Coco Korikov, talk about Jessica Pegula. So, because it's always about the British and Americans in some of these sports.
Yeah, just like you said, I think in the boxing world they are doing pretty well. The likes of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, to mention but a few others. But when you talk about tennis, it looks as though their shining light is gradually dimming because you expect some of their big name out there to be coasting home with victories. But over the past couple of months right now, they are just, fiddles the way. When you expect them to come to the party, they just, couldn't come to the party. So for me, I think the USA, they are taking over, tennis ahead of the Britain. But let's hope that they are going to, come back very strong, because this is an Olympic year, and of course they expect most of their players, talking about the English, the British, tennis player are there to be at their A game, because this is an Olympic year. But then it looks as though they have not been able to find their mojo, they have not been able to find their rhythm over the past, 9 months down the line right now. I think for me, it's quite unfortunate, but then let's hope that they are going to work their way back into reckoning, because in time past we used to know, most of them as a very good, tennis players are there, but then it looks as though they are losing grip of of that reckoning right now. But just like I said, let's hope that they can work on themselves and bounce back very strong to reckoning.
All right, and let's talk football now. In the wake of the incident during our Nigerian National League match, the 17th game between Jigawa Golden Stars and the Sporting Supreme FC in Dutse. Last Saturday, the league body has placed a 1-year ban on an unidentified player of Jigawa Golden Stars for apparently pushing the ball into the net with both hands to deny their visitors a point, and not a cheering one. But then, when you say unidentified players, that's where I have a challenge, because if you are going to, if this will be seen clearly, I mean, it should not be about, by now the player should have been escorted, by now the player should have been, I don't know, but the judge allows a board should have done more to know the player, because the match commissioner knows there is a list submitted to him before. So I don't like when you say unidentified, because they are professionals, and those if you can get the names of the referees and they are suspended or banned, then the same thing should be measured by the player if you think he has defaulted. So I'm concerned about the identity of the player not mentioned. Or maybe it's about the fact that they want to cover some of the ease. For me, I think that the NNS should be able to provide the name of the player.
For me, I do not think that they don't know the name of the player, but I'm just thinking they just want to protect the career of that player, because they actually named the jersey number of that player. They said he was spotted with jersey number 9. So mentioning the name, I think that is going to jeopardize the career, because this is a young lad trying to rise through the rank. If he actually mention his name out there in the media to the world out there, that have automatically, paint a very black image and a black spot to his career. And for me, I think they just don't want his career to, frizzle out, and that is why they had to hold it there. They are being more technical, more professional in the way and manner they are going about it, and that is the reason for me. But then for the referee, I think it was a abysmal and a dismal performance out there. Seeing a center ref, seeing a player, taking his 2 hands to grab the ball and threw it inside the net. I think that was the height of unprofessionalism, and the referee had to point to the center field for them to go and pass their ball. I think for me that was the height of embarrassment, and the Nigerian Referee Association should also punish this referee very well, even possibly expelling him, because he's bringing a bad reputation to the Nigerian Referees Association. Because if he continues this way, I tell you, they've actually shot themselves on the foot. They just concluded the African Cup of Nations. How many Nigerian refs were taken? And they were here lamenting. But this is some of the reasons why most time in any CAF organized competition, find it difficult to make to be picked because of this all this kind of embarrassing and disgraceful officiating out there. So for me, I think they just need to live up to the expectations, so that in subsequent CAF organized competition, we'll begin to see Nigerian refs out there, controlling proceedings at the center pitch. I think I will love it, and I know that the Nigerian Referees Association will also love it as well.
Let's see, in the coming days, the two referees, Zaradin Nasiru of Katsina State and his assistant Usman, and a lot. All right, we're going to have more time to look at referees' activities in the coming days. I did talk that we're going to get a referee expert or a FIFA, CAF referee who will come down to the studio to look into some of the referees, dilemma that we have heard in recent time. That will be one of the focal points, before the end of the week. And of course, let's see how it goes. But let's move on now, and let's bring you more interesting stories about these things. Are not in any way bringing repute to the league, as they smear the image that we are trying to rebuild when it comes to the Nigerian football landscape. Away from that, now to the Nigerian Premier Football League, it looks like Ogumbo takes the 3SC, of course, brought down pillars, no doubt, in Kano, and a lot ongoing there. Kano Pillars did so well, coming down from a important goal to grab a 2-1 victory at the Sani Abacha Stadium. And the Oluwe Warriors have been on fine form this season, recording their second win on the road in the half against a Pillar. The first coming in at a game against Gombe, at Gombe against the Doma United, and of course a lot still going there. The result now pushed them to 6th on the log, 3 points behind Remo Stars, who occupy the last continental spot at the host title chasers Lobby Stars. I mean, it's the tail end of the season, and a lot is going down there. Michael, the MPFA games we saw yesterday, Kano Pillars, of course, we saw what transpired some few days ago. But for Shooting Stars looks like a team that at the tail end of the season, Benga Ogumbote, for whatever thing he's doing there, seems to be working out for him.
Sure, it seems to be working out for him. Don't forget, before the start of the season, I do not think that anybody gave them chance to be fighting for a continental ticket. But I stand right now, they are fighting, or they are in for a continental ticket, because they are seated 6th on the log right now, courtesy of that victory yesterday. And for Kano Pillar, you say that it's quite shocking after losing embarrassing 5-0 against Enyimba. You expected them to get all 3 points at home, but then they were lackluster, very, very unclinical in front of goals. They were unable to take their chances, because they had about 3 clear chances to have won that game, but then their strikers were not prolific enough to take the chances, and that is why the Oluyole Warriors, had to take their chances as it come. But for me, I think this is just the beauty of the game. You expect the unexpected, because if it become conventional, then the league will no longer be very, very interesting for me. But then I think Kano Pillar just truly need to go back and work on themselves, because we have fewer games left to play. And if they don't continue to get the results right, then it's going to affect where they are going to finish on the log. But for Shooting Stars, I think they've done themselves favor. If they keep pushing this hard, then I see them finishing possibly 4th or even 5th as it stands, because they are seated 6th right now. It has been a very, very massive and impressive job, done so far by Ogumbote, who I don't know where he actually got the Midas touch, but whatever he's doing, I think it's working out well for him.
It's working out well for him, and for me, I think that such effort should be appreciated. And they look like a team who, at the end of the season might just pick a continental showpiece. But we have barely few games, barely 11 games, so to say, to wrap up conversation this season. And so you want to take every game one after the other. And for Rivers United, that have been hosted. They have a couple of outstanding matches, and for me, I'm afraid of outstanding matches in Nigerian Premier League Football League because it's not as good as it looks. Like you have outstanding matches. It's not even about the fact that point, I mean, outstanding matches are not point in the bag. It's about the fact that the league has changed. And if you accept what we have seen this season, you can be beaten at home. And when you have that, instead of your opponent to be in that pressure, you that is having a certain match is even in your home ground, you are in the pressure. And so the person are thinking how Rivers United can recoup points from the outstanding matches after the pain of being exited from the CAF Confederation Cup.
I think it's going to be a very difficult one, especially when the league is coming to an end. There are some teams that is also battling to stay afloat of the Nigerian Premier Football League, and if you are having some of these outstanding games against some of these teams that is within the bottom line, trying to battle for relegation, then it could prove very, very tough for you, because they don't give in easily, because they are battling for survival, and you don't expect such team to come to your home, or you go to their home and get all 3 points very easy. So I think it's going to be more like a banana peels for Rivers United in their bid to rack up 15 points out of those 5 games. It's going to be a very, very difficult one. And again, coupled with the mental breakdown of some of the players, courtesy of their hostage at the Confederations Cup, is also going to have a toll against some of these players out there, because emotionally, psychologically, I think they are done. So I think what Rivers United should do right now is just try to fight if they can stay afloat in the league. But pursuing for any continental dream or finishing very strong, I do not think that Rivers United have what it takes so far, to be able to finish within a continental spot. They should just struggle, fight, and see if they can be able to finish within 10th or even 12th. So just stay within the mid-table. I think that would do them good. But for them to think that the 5 outstanding games is going to give them that luxury of time or that opportunity to climb up the ladder, I think it will be very, very difficult, because this is the end of the league. You have barely 10 games to go. Some have 11 games, so it's going to be a very difficult one for them.
Very difficult one for them. And billionaire banker Tony Elimelu has clearly expressed interest to get a club with the Nigerian Premier Football League side, and I'm wondering what kind of club. But it's good that you have such and you invest. I don't think these men are business mogul. They know what yields profit, because the end product of every businessman is profit venture. And if he made such confession, it seems like something is going on well, and maybe that interest is there, but can it be achieved?
That is a very, very difficult one. Can it be achieved? Just like you said, the sole aim and purpose of any good businessman is for him to maximize profit. And looking at the way our league is positioned, the way it is being run, I tell you, any good businessman who want to maximize profit will be ready to put his money or her money in this kind of league that is not properly organized. I think it will be very, very difficult. I'm just thinking, it's just for fun that he had to tweet that thing, because it was a response to a certain fan who also made reference to the fact that he think that it is time for sport philanthropists, individuals, private organization to own an EPL, a Nigerian Premier Football Club here. So Tony Elumelu also, put up a rejoinder to that thought of the, ex-follower out there, by saying that he has already had this kind of discussion, that the sport minister have already come to him and tabled this kind of idea to him, and he's thinking about it. So for me, I think he's going to do his visibility study to see if he can actually fetch him some money, or he can be able to make profit out of it. But if after the feasibility study discover that it's not a good venture for him, it's not going to be a profit making venture for him, then I do not think him being an astute businessman will be ready to just come and waste his money in a fruitless venture that that he cannot maximize profit. But then I think the onus lies on the league organizer. We must improve in our games. We must improve on our local pitches here. We must improve in the standard and the quality of the league before you can truly expect any private company or individual or even sport philanthropists to come and put their money in.
To come and put their money in, but let's see how it goes. But then the Confederation of African Football CAF has explained why the mandatory video assistant referee, that is VAR, was not used in this the epic quarterfinal return leg match, which Algeria USM Algiers held Nigeria's United 2-1 on aggregate. CAF said they negotiated with the Algerian authority to release the VAR equipment that has been kept by authorities at the entry port in Oran since last week. Regrettably, the VAR equipment was only released on Sunday, the day of the event, making it impossible to drive the 400-kilometer distance between Oran and Algiers, and it makes and make it on time for the match. I don't, for whatever reasons, I think that something fishy, went on here and should be investigated.
Definitely something fishy went on. The ploys of this North African, they might probably have align themselves with the port officials and tell them to delay that equipment so that they will use it as a ploy to gain the advantage. Because there is no way you tell me that such equipment has been sent 5-6 days ahead of that Sunday's game, and you tell me that they were unable to deliver. Now the day of the match, they said it was about 400 kilometers away down to the venue where those places were supposed to take place, and that is the reason why they could not get it done. And I think for me, CAF as well should be held responsible, because if actually send some of those equipment 5 days, 6 days before the time, it behoves on you as the body, as the authority, as the mother organizers of that competition to also ensure that such equipment have been delivered to its appropriate designation on time before the game. But that they didn't do. It was after the game that they started hearing that the equipment didn't get there on time, the port official couldn't deliver on time, and of course CAF cannot hold USM Algiers responsible because it is not their duty. And so for me, I think it's just a ploy that the USM Algiers authority had to connive with the port authority. Of course, this is their own, and of course they are protecting their own as well. So for me, I think CAF should need to take the blame in this very one. Even if they are going to set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the late arrival or non-deployment of the VAR, then I still think that it's going to bounce back to them, because they will be held culpable of not delivering on time before the game. But in all, I just think that it's going to be more like a spilled milk, because the deed has been done. Rivers United have been hosted that you cannot reorder for a rematch of that game, because I think everything have come and gone. They won 2-1 on aggregate. So Rivers United is out. If there's any measure CAF is going to take, I think maybe it lies between them and the authority, and not USM Algiers.
And of course, we're good to see. But my only challenge with some of these issues is that we get to hear it now. We see it under the carpet, and investigations will not be done. I think that the politics in the continent is getting too much. I think that some of these things should not be allowed to go sway. And that's the beauty of as compared to the European scene, where these things don't happen. I mean, fairness should be treated. I mean, you don't, because of trying to win at all costs, you don't manipulate the system, so that you can get that victory. I think that CAF needs to look into some of these things, and except to do that, our football will continue to be affected, and it's going to be difficult for us to get to that level that we so desire, because when people know that there is no, fairness, we're not saying that everywhere there is clear fairness, because the home advantage will always be there. Yeah. But there are things that should not be talked of, that should not be heard of, that happens, and CAF should ensure that, for whatever be the case, they have the equipment in that place that day. So for me, I don't know, but it looks like the proponents of CAF having a side, maybe because allegedly, maybe because some of those who occupy the bureaucracy in CAF are all from the North Africans, so it's easier for them to have their say when things like this are done.
Yeah, allegedly, but then in reality, I think I'm just thinking it is the USM Oja that actually played that politics, and they did it perfectly well to their own
And that's what I was saying. If they play the politics, and CAF should know, because that competition was as bad. They did a lot of politics that day. CAF, this competition, they are the defending champions. It's as important as it is to them, and so a lot would have been done. If I'm in charge to transport the particular thing, a follow-up secretary should have been done.
Yeah.
You don't hang it over to them. That's where I faulted CAF. And a lot of persons have been alleging that maybe there is a cook-up plans, between CAF and the authorities there.
And that is going to be very, very detrimental to football development in Africa. If such a cook-up arrangement, as some fingers is being pointed to CAF as alleging that some of their officials who hail from the North African side end of it are part and parcel of this cook-up. I think for me it's not a good one. It's not a good news to the ears of any football-loving fan all over the world, because when you try to manipulate the system, then I tell you football will definitely suffer, because at the time when we are building to catch up with the Western world in terms of technology, in terms of improving the play, in terms of a facility, in terms of equipment and organization, I think it's a big setback. If CAF can allow themselves to be used in such manner to change the course of a game and give maybe one team an advantage over the other, then the place of fairness is taken out of the game. And for me, fairness should be the vocal point of any competitive game out there, because if there is no fairness, then you are not going to get a very competitive tournament or competition out there. For the fact that they are a defending champion, it makes no sense to add to maybe try to help them and get to the final just because maybe probably ticket sales and television rights, they are going to get much of the money, and that is why they have decided to play that game. But then in all, I think if CAF officials is fingered to be among those who play such dirty politics in football, then they need to be fished out, and appropriate measures should be taken against such person. But then we are just alleging that indeed we are not saying that it is what happened. But then one thing is certain, that there is a monkey business actually transpired in the course of not delivering the equipment on time before that game. So in all, I think it's going to affect the football development in Africa.
In all, it's going to affect the football development, and of course, let's talk about a lot tonight, and that seems to be the focal point of our discussion. We'll just highlight it, and it's all about the UEFA Champions League. Arsenal hoping to banish the nightmare of the defeat the last time to Bayern Munich, and we're not going to delve into this all more. But Michael, the UEFA Champions League tonight, it's promising to be a cracker. It's the quarterfinal stage, and a lot is at stake.
Yeah, I think tonight we are having a blockbuster games out there. Manchester City also against Real Madrid in action, Arsenal, Bayern Munich, and of course, these are known rivalries between Arsenal and Bayern Munich. It has always been very exciting, but it has always been one-sided as well over the past couple of years. Right now, Bayern Munich have always have the upper hand against Arsenal. In their last 3 meetings so far before now, I think the scoreline was 5-1, 5-1, 5-1 aggregate, in favor of Bayern Munich. I can't forget that 10-2 dismantling of Arsenal as well by Bayern Munich. So for me, I think it's going to be a very difficult one. But it is also coming at a time where Arsenal is in the form of their life. They are topping the league right now. They have scored 75 goals in the league so far this season and considered just 27. It tells you how defensively rugged the Arsenal backline is so far this season. And if you talk about Bayern Munich, domestically, they have not been very good. They have been very poor. In fact, they lost their last game, thereby giving Bayern Leverkusen that 10-point advantage. So as it stands right now in the league, they are out of it, because if Bayern Leverkusen get to win just their next game, they will be crowned as the Bundesliga champion. So for me, Bayern Munich, they have not been very good out there. So, but let's hope that they are going to change the course of this game, thereby putting all their eggs in the Champions League against Arsenal, because that is the only route for them to be able to smile home this season with any major silverware. Without that, I think they are going to go, empty-handed so far this season. And that would be very, very bad for them. So for me, I think Arsenal is in a very good position. If Arsenal cannot get the better, of Bayern Munich tonight, then they are going to have themselves to be blamed, because going back there at Allianz Arena is going to be a very, very tall mountain for Arsenal to climb. So the odds for me, I think we favor Arsenal tonight. The
odds favor Arsenal tonight, and that will be all this morning on Sports Talk. Many thanks to you, the viewer, for being part of the conversation here. Let's do this again this evening. We are going to look more on the UEFA Champions League and, of course, the possibility of getting to see Arsenal doing the magic in the first leg of the encounter against the Bavarians from the German Bundesliga. Many thanks to you, Michael, for being part of the conversation too.
Always a pleasure.
Ekpo Temple is my name. It's one game football without violence. Stay blessed and have a wonderful holiday today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Killing him not to counterpunch.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today.